What is going on, YouTube people? Northeast Ohio Cards and Comics here to talk basketball. That's right. NBA training camps, media days are open. Players are getting interviewed. No one knows what the hell's going on with Kyrie Irving. It must be the NBA season. Today, we're going to dive in and look at who's been running up, what hasn't, what has been in the lead up to this season. I found a very interesting, I guess it's not that surprising. It's just interesting when you look at the numbers that it's this big of a difference, I guess. So we'll get into it in a second. Like, comment, subscribe. A bunch of market mover stuff today. Link in the description down below, along with coupon code if you want to check out the old market movers. So what I have done, as I like to do, I use the 4th of July basically as my line of demarcation. That is when the NBA market, for the most part, there are a few exceptions, and we'll get into a couple, pretty much hit the bottom for a lot of players, is right around the 4th of July. And it's a nice, easy number to remember. It also happens to be almost 3 months ago. Not quite 90 days, but pretty close. So we're looking at almost a quarter of the poll. And yeah, I could have went exactly 90 days, but, you know, if guys are still dipping off playoff losses and exits, that doesn't seem fair. So July 4th is the date that I choose to use because it appears to be the bottom for most guys. What I did is I dove in and looked at a couple key players from each of the last few rookie classes. I did not include 2020 because, frankly, I'm not that big on the 2020 guys. LaMelo, Anthony Edwards, they're fine. But a lot of their stuff's still a little wonky because of the PSA shutdown and just all the grading nonsense. So for the purposes of this conversation, I left them out. I looked at Luka, Trey, Zion, Ja, Tatum, and Mitchell. And then we're also going to look at another little cluster of guys, essentially the elite of the elite. Giannis, KD, and LeBron. I didn't include Steph Curry. I easily could have. I just didn't. And then kind of the middle tier stars. We're going to look at them. Joker, Embiid, Towns, Anthony Davis, those sorts of guys. So we're not going to cover every single player. We'd be here for 4 hours. My videos are long enough as it is. So let's go ahead and dive in. And first, we're going to look at the 17, 18, and 19 guys. And what I pulled up is their Optic and Prism base. PSA 10, Luka, Trey, Zion, Ja, Tatum, Mitchell. Once again, we are looking at, I'm recording this about a day early, but we're from 7/4, July 4th, through September 27th. I'm recording this Monday night during Monday Night Football. Come down here. All right. What do we see? Some interesting things. Let's look at Optic first. Luka Optic base, slightly up, ever so slightly up. Trae Young base, ever so slightly down. Now, a little of that can be attributed to Trae was still slightly, very slightly inflated from the playoffs because he was in the playoffs longer. So his prices were still on the decline a little bit around 4th of July. Not that much, but a little bit. Regardless, if it's gone up, it hasn't gone up. We're not that far off. You know, maybe it's flat, whatever. But down 10%. Zion down 9%. Ja down 3%. Oh, this market is as flat could be. Tatum up slightly, 6%. Mitchell down 20%. C, Trae Young. He was in the playoffs a little bit longer, had the disappointing loss. Prices fell a little bit harder post-playoffs. So that probably attributes a little bit to his 20% decline on his base Optic. All right, let's scroll down and look at Prism. Prism's actually held up slightly better, but we're not seeing huge inclines. These are all single-digit numbers. Luka base Prism up 7%, 750 to 800. Trae Young base Prism 3%. Zion dead flat, 384 to 384. Now, at the time of recording, it is Monday night. The news came out today about him having foot surgery in the offseason. He is supposed to be ready to start the season. I don't know how that will affect his market. It might not affect it at all, These are the sorts of things that make me nervous about Zion, and the reason I don't hold a ton of Zion cards. Him having off-season foot surgery because he broke it in practice. Supposedly, the break is a common one. I haven't had time to dig into it yet. But full disclosure, his prices could swing a little bit on that news. We will see. Ja Morant up 5%. Tatum up 4%. Donovan Mitchell down 9%. Once again, Mitchell, hate might have still been going on a little much still post NBA playoffs. So you look at this and go, whew, NBA market, man. Yikes. No run up at all. Like, this stuff's just been sitting flat for the last 90 days. And you would be 100% correct on the base market. Same players, same cards, but let's look at silvers and let's look at hollows. Same time range, 7.4 to 9.27. Scroll down here. Luka Optic Hollow, PSA 10 up 60%. What? Up 60%. And there's multiple sales. There's another one on auction right now. I don't remember exactly when it ends. It might end before this video posts. This is going up Wednesday morning, most likely. At the time of recording, I think it was at like 51 or 5,200 on his PSA 10 Optic Hollow. So there's another one that's about to end. Very well close to that. It might actually go a little bit higher. We'll see. Trae Young Optic Hollow PSA 10 up 35%. Zion Williamson Optic Hollow up 48%. Ja Optic Hollow up 20%. Tatum Optic Hollow up 10%. Mitchell Optic Hollow up 22%. So the same time frame as Mitchell's base, which was down 10% on his base optic and base prism, the hollow is up 22% in that same time period. Let's look at prism. Luka Prism Silver up 30%. And actually, as of last sale, the Optic Hollow at 54.61 is neck and neck with the Prism Silver at 54.74. 2 days difference on when those auctions ended. I did not even realize that when I looked at this earlier. Which is interesting because Trae Silver, 1750 up 25%. His Optic Hollow is only at 1300. Pop 159 versus Luka's at 2. Lower pop too by a lot. Zion Silver up 17%. Ja Silver up 20%. Tatum Silver up 10%. Donovan Mitchell Silver Prism up 54%. His base was down 10%. His silver is up 54%. So, what can we take from this? Clearly, I mean, we kind of knew this already. You know, whether you want to, a lot of people say the hate on base has gone too far. To be fair, it hasn't gone down. It has basically stayed dead flat since its low points. I think on base stuff, it is going to take more than just your normal off-season run-up to move that stuff. The population counts are so high. On these silvers and hollows, it's a completely different ballgame. The pop counts are a lot lower. They also get a lot of buzz. It is all people talk about, myself included. And that's a big reason why over the summer, if you noticed what I was doing, I was selling off and moving, trading, selling, whatever, a lot of my base stuff to consolidate, if you will. I sold a stack of raw stuff. I sold a bunch of base low-end PSA 10 slabs. I took that money, I went and bought Luka Optic Hollow, Trae Young Optic Hollow. I condensed stacks of cards down to 4 or 5 cards. One, it's just less stuff to carry around. And two, they just have way more upside. Does base, can you still make money on base? Yes. I think you still can. It's going to be more about buying guys that are on the low that are due to come up. Like, I haven't looked at prices, but like the crop of young guys that people aren't talking about or are talking about but aren't getting a ton of respect on the secondary markets, like your Keldon Johnsons, your DeAndre Hunters, Cam Reddishes, Darius Garlands, those types of guys. The next tier down, if you will, from the young superstars to the young almost stars, if you will. So, I mean, what a night and day difference looking at these side by side like this. I've not looked at this for a while. I did not realize it was this stark of a difference. When you look at these, some of them slightly down, others slightly up. The biggest percentage up is 10% on Luka base optic. The biggest down, 5%. I'm sorry, 10%, 9% on Mitchell. Oh, 20% on Mitchell optic. So 10 to 20%. Over here, nothing down. Absolutely not. Some monster ups. Luka up 60%. The lowest up is 10% on Tatum's optic hollow. And then 11% on Tatum silver. Which makes me think, like, if you're going to go dump money in the guys, I would look at these ones that have not run up yet. To me, Tatum screams like, of everyone on this list, Tatum PSA 10 silver seems like the best buy. I own none of them. I own some Tatum base cards. I don't own any Tatum PSA 10 silvers or 9s for that matter. But that one stands out to me because it's the one that hasn't seen a huge price increase yet. If you could find one for $2,400. That is the problem sometimes on silvers and hollows, is finding one at the right price point. Let's look at some other players. This is the Giannis, KD, LeBron. I probably should have included Steph Curry on this list, but I didn't. We'll call it Cleveland bias. I just kind of forgot. I thought about it after the fact, and I just didn't feel like rerunning the chart. Now, for this one, I tweaked the start date. LeBron's market bottomed out before July 4th. His PSA 10 Topps Chrome got a massive pump in late June. That's when Gary Vee came out and said he was buying them at the National. He didn't end up going to the National. Whatever. A ton of stuff got pumped right before, like a month before the National. And this was one of the main cards. So I changed this back to June 25th. That is the last sale of LeBron's Topps Chrome at the low. There was multiple that sold around this price. I think 3 or 4 sold right in a row at this price. So I started his chart from June 25th for all these players' charts on June 25th, and just kind of seeing what they went from there. For KD and Giannis, theirs is a little weird because Giannis gets the run up in the middle from winning the title. It does pull back down again. Not all the way back to previous levels. I don't remember. We'll look in a second. And then KD, same thing. He was still kind of on the way down from the playoffs. He hadn't fully bottomed yet, but he's had a couple of Olympic spikes since then, so it kind of balances itself out. So a little bit of strangeness with this one, but I kind of wanted to group these guys together. Once again, I should have included Steph Curry. Sorry for my Cleveland bias. Giannis up 5%, but that was a wild ride on that up 5%. At one point in time, that was way up. And it has slightly pulled back down again. I threw in the base LeBron Topps, the white suit, just for the hell of it. That is up 32%. KD Topps Chrome PSA 10 up 20%. And LeBron Topps Chrome base from the off-season lows of 13K up 31%. So nothing there super surprising, other than maybe Giannis being that low. But like I said, the Giannis market's been weird, because in between the start of this graph and in between the end of this graph, he won an NBA championship. So I almost feel like the hate went a little too far on the pullback back down again for that to only be up 5% from the time it started. But it is what it is. So those are those guys. Let's move on to the next category. And this is we're not these guys yet, but we're more established than Ja Morant. I could have included any number of guys. Cat probably does not deserve to be on this list, but Cat's cards always intrigue me. This could have easily have been De'Aaron Fox is part of the 2017 class, but it's kind of guys like him. I kind of wanted to look at the stars from the 14, 15, 2012, like that area. Post, other than Giannis, post LeBron and KD, pre Tatum, Luka, Trey. So I went Towns, Joker, Booker, Embiid, Davis, Lillard. Same time range. Here I went 7-1. It lined up with the most of these guys being at their low. And mostly that was Devin Booker. Devin Booker stuff is a wild ride as well because of the NBA Finals. Right prior to on 7-2, I believe is when they won to go to the finals. I don't remember the date exactly, but his stuff spiked way up. So I went run one day prior to that when it was still air quotes normal-ish, just to kind of give us a better idea of the start and the end points in regards to percentage changes. If I started it one day later, Booker's chart looks completely different because you're buying him in the NBA Finals versus buying him in the Western Conference playoffs. So big difference there. Let's scroll down here. And once again, I'm using base cards for this in the last set because silver populations on these guys in these years are so low, you just won't have sales data to back it up. And it also kind of shows a difference in these guys as base cards versus the ultra modern. This is modern, I guess, versus the ultra modern guys. Cat down 20% at 166. I don't own any, but man, does that seem appeasing to jump into, especially with trade rumors swirling around him now. Joker up 3%, very flat, 650. Seems very reasonable for last year's MVP. Probably won't win another one, but still. Devin Booker down 20%. And keep in mind, this was ran prior to his big spike in the I mean, he's up because he's in the playoffs and playing well, but this was prior to his next level up. So once again, if I go one day later, this card looks even way worse. So that's sitting at 725. Embiid base Prism up 20%. AD up 35%. This is probably the biggest one by far. He got all the way down to $700 at one point in time. That seems awful cheap for his base Prism. And then Dame up 4%. Dame's was kind of a wild ride. His spiked up, pulled back because of the trade rumors there late in the summer or mid-summer, whenever that was, when all his trade rumors were circulating around. So these guys are, some are up, some are down, some are basically dead flat. It just kind of depends on the individual player and the narrative. So this one's a little bit more all over the place. So that is where we sit at basically the eve of the NBA season. I mean, there's obviously still 2 more weeks or so to go. I forget the exact start, but we do still have some time till the NBA season fully kicks off. But once again, to me on this ultra modern stuff, this was the most eye-opening part. All this base stuff barely moving at all, one way or the other, up or down. But the silvers and the hollows are smoking. They are a-moving. A-moving. So, you know, take with that what you will. This is the part where you need to, like, look at the extra step. If you just looked at this, the base stuff, you'd be like, NBA market, man. No one cares about the NBA market. Then you come over here and look at this, and you're like, holy smokes, the NBA market is as hot could be. You know, Flipping Steve was talking about it the other day on his post-Philly show, Drive Home video, about people just climbing over themselves for ultra-modern NBA, specifically color. Hollows, silvers, blue velocities, color matches, ices, whatever. The numbers back that up. Definitely back. I'm seeing the same thing too. The local show that I was at just recently, I made a deal with the video that I did yesterday with all the ultra modern colored stuff. At 101's trade night, a lot of people were looking for that sort of stuff. It's not surprising. It's what moves the market. So that's all I have for you guys and girls today. Check out Market Movers if you want. Like, comment, subscribe, all the YouTube stuff down below. Share the video. You guys and girls know the drill. Catch you on the next one. Peace.